but you were saying about how people get into cricket. I mean, how did you get into cricket?
I got into cricket. I fell in love with cricket because my son fell in love with cricket. He ended up participating in a day. It wasn't a traditional school day. They had like called classes off and they brought people in from the community to teach different things. So like on that day, he learned how to make cannoli, take apart a computer, like about World War I medals or something, and then he learned how to play cricket. And
Of course.
Nicholas he's just such a mellow kid. And like he hadn't found that thing that just made him alive. He just kind of did. I mean, he's 5 out of 6, right? And so like he did a lot. His oldest brother played soccer, was a keeper, so he'd go out and kick the ball around with him. But it wasn't what drove him. And so whatever, we send him off to school. Well, everyone. Um, and I'm there doing dishes, and the screen door slams open, and of course, I was going to get up like, who's slamming the door? But he comes running in, this brand new kid with this white ball. And he's like, I'm going to play cricket. I'm like, oh. Hands in the sink. I'm looking at this kid. And I'm like, where are we going to play cricket? Like, we live in the northern suburbs of Chicago. Like, where are we going to play cricket? And he pulled me away from the sink. I'm dripping soap all over. And he sat me down. And he's like, I'm going to play cricket. I'm going to tell you what I did. And he talked about that he was almost the youngest player, and he took his first wicket. And they didn't win. They didn't have like all the runs, but they almost did. And he was just like, and his eyes, and he just said, I want to play cricket. And what do you do with that? Like, as a parent, I'm like, clearly this experience changed this kid. I had no idea. So I just start looking, and there isn't anything. Well, then the club there, very clever, had the name of the club embossed on the ball. So I looked at that and I knew where the town was, and I was like, whoa, and I Googled it, and I was like, okay, that's an hour away. Oh, come to find out in traffic, it's 2 hours away. But that's where we started. And it's just up on Facebook just the other day. Memory 12 years ago. There he is, little Nick. And you can just see in his face, like, this is what I'm going to do. And, um, and so then I watched him just be absolutely just driven by this game. And like, I just soaked in his passion. I'm like, well, let me learn about this game. We'll come to find out this strategy just feeds my brain. And and then like I couldn't help being obsessed with cricket because of what it does, and then from an educator standpoint, what it teaches. And so then I don't know, full on cricket, eat, sleep, breathe cricket. It's I don't say it's an illness. It's definitely a passion. It's They say that there's cricket tragics, and then I'm not quite sure where that passion that I have for the game comes in. But yeah, it's I know now as I'm like, oh, come back down. But yeah, it's the first time I watched Nicholas just jump up and pull the ball out of the sky. I was like, wow, what is this game? What have I fallen into? And I had no idea. 12 years ago, if you had told me that little white ball that came into the house was going to change our entire world, um, as a family, the family dynamics, the experiences we've had, me living around the world, us going to England, going to Australia, trying to find a healthy cricket community in which the kids could play, I would have said you absolutely out of your tree. Like, there's no way, but yet it did. So it's like, well, there it is. Like history. It's interesting to look back because when you start on something, you have no idea how it's going to turn out. I just thought, oh yeah, he'll get to play the cricket and it'll be fine. And yeah, that's not what happened at all. It's not what happened.